We live our lives in the when-then trap. We convince ourselves that happiness is a prize waiting at the end of a long, grueling race, rather than the air we breathe while running it. We say, when I get that promotion, then I'll be relaxed. We say, when I find the right partner, then I'll feel whole. We treat our current reality as a waiting room, a gray, uncomfortable space we have to endure until the door finally opens and the real life begins. But the horizon is an optical illusion. The faster you run toward it, the further it retreats. If you spend your entire existence waiting for a destination to justify your journey, you will eventually find that you've reached the end of the road with a heart full of achievements and a soul that is completely malnourished. Life is not a series of checkpoints. It is a continuous stream of moments that are either experienced or ignored. The mindset that happiness is over there is the very thing that ensures it will never be right here. This is the story of Claire, a woman who spent 10 years building a ladder she thought would lead to the sun, only to realize that she had been standing in the light the entire time. Claire was the kind of person who didn't just have a 5-year plan. Claire had a 50-year blueprint. From the moment Claire graduated at the top of her class, Claire's eyes were fixed on a very specific summit, the title of senior partner at a prestigious architectural firm. To Claire, every day that wasn't the day she reached that office was simply a hurdle to be cleared. Claire viewed her 20s and 30s as the grind, a necessary period of suffering that would eventually be redeemed by a large salary, a corner office, and the respect of her peers. Claire lived in a state of perpetual postponement. Claire bought beautiful dresses but kept them in plastic wrap for the celebration. Claire bought high-end cookware but ate takeout over a laptop because Claire told herself she didn't have time to enjoy a meal until the big project was signed. Claire's mindset was a fortress of not yet. When Claire's friends invited Claire to a weekend getaway, Claire declined, citing the need to get ahead on Monday's presentation. When Claire's mother called to talk about the garden, Claire checked her watch and gave her mother 5 minutes, her mind already drifting to the next milestone on the spreadsheet. Claire wasn't being cruel. Claire was just convinced that she was investing her time. Claire believed that by denying herself joy now, she was accumulating a massive debt of happiness that the universe would pay back with interest later. Claire was a destination traveler in a world meant for explorers, and as a result, Claire's life felt like a blur of airports and hotel rooms with no scenery in between. The turning point for Claire didn't come from a breakdown or a grand epiphany. It came from an observation Claire made while sitting in a hospital waiting room. Claire was there for a routine checkup, her laptop open on her knees, her fingers flying across the keys as she tried to shave 10 minutes off a deadline. Claire was so deep in her, trance that she barely noticed the elderly man sitting across from her until he started humming. The sound was soft, a simple, wandering melody that seemed to come from a place of genuine contentment. Claire found the noise distracting. Claire looked up, ready to give the man a pointed look that signaled she was busy, but the sight of him stopped Claire in her tracks. The man was holding a small, bruised apple. He wasn't eating it quickly. He was looking at it. He traced the curve of the fruit with a gnarled finger, seemingly fascinated by the way the light from the window hit the skin. When he finally took a bite, he closed his eyes. He chewed slowly, a look of profound peace on his face as if that bruised apple was the finest delicacy in the world. Claire watched him for 5 minutes. He wasn't checking a watch. He wasn't looking at a phone. He wasn't waiting for his name to be called so his real day could start. He was simply completely in the room with his apple. Claire felt a sudden, sharp pang of envy. It was a bizarre feeling. Claire was a successful, healthy woman with a skyrocketing career, yet she felt impoverished compared to a man with a bruised apple in a sterile waiting room. Claire realized that if she were in his position, she would be vibrating with impatience, treating the wait as a waste of time. Claire saw that the man wasn't waiting for the doctor to give him his life back. He was living his life while he waited for the doctor. That afternoon, Claire left the clinic and walked toward the train station, but for the first time in a decade, Claire didn't take the fastest route. Claire stumbled across a small, overgrown community garden tucked between two concrete buildings. Ordinarily, Claire would have walked past it without a second glance, her mind already 3 blocks ahead. But today, the image of the man and the apple was stuck in Claire's mind. Claire stepped into the garden. Claire saw a woman, likely in her 70s, kneeling in the dirt, painstakingly pulling weeds from around a row of struggling tomato plants. Claire watched the woman for a moment. The woman's back was bent and the sun was hot and the garden was small and somewhat unremarkable. Claire asked the woman how long she had been working on the garden. The woman smiled and said she had been at it for 20 years. Claire asked if the garden was finished yet, if it looked exactly how the woman wanted it to look. The woman laughed, a warm, earthy sound. The woman told Claire that a garden is never finished. The woman said that if she waited for the garden to be perfect before she enjoyed it, she would have spent 20 years in a state of misery. The woman explained that the point wasn't the harvest at the end of the season. The point was the feeling of the dirt under her fingernails on a Tuesday morning. The realization hit Claire with the force of a tidal wave. Claire's entire life had been a search for a finished garden. Claire had been waiting for the harvest while ignoring the soil. Claire saw that she had been treating her years like packing peanuts, useless filler meant only to protect the prize at the bottom of the box. But life is the filler. The meetings, the commutes, the quiet mornings, the bruised apples and the struggling tomato plants. That was the life Claire had been missing because she was too busy looking for the destination. Claire went home that night and did something she hadn't done since college. Claire didn't open her laptop. Claire didn't check her emails. Claire took one of the celebration dresses out of the plastic wrap and put it on. Claire used the expensive cookware to make a meal for herself, not because she had reached a milestone, but because it was a Tuesday and she was alive. As Claire sat at her table, eating slowly and listening to the sounds of the city outside her window, the office at the firm didn't seem less important, but it seemed less everything. Claire realized that if she reached that office with a mindset of not yet, she would simply find a new, higher summit to wait for. The promotion wouldn't change Claire's life. Only Claire's willingness to be present in her life would do that. Over the next few months, Claire's coworkers noticed a change. Claire was still excellent at her job, but the frantic, jagged edge of her ambition had smoothed out. Claire started taking her lunch breaks in the park. Claire started calling her mother to actually listen to the stories about the garden, rather than just waiting for the conversation to end. Claire stopped referring to her current life as the grind and started referring to it as the work. Claire discovered that when you stop treating your days as obstacles, the obstacles start to look like opportunities. The destination trap had lost its power over Claire because Claire had finally realized that the only destination any of us are guaranteed is the end, and there is no sense in rushing to get there. We spend our lives preparing to live, but we rarely take the time to actually do it. We treat our mindset like a fixed coordinate, unaware that we have the power to shift the lens at any moment. If you are waiting for a change in your external circumstances to grant you permission to be happy, you are giving away your power to a future that may never arrive. The world doesn't change when you get the money, the house, or the title. The world changes when you decide that this moment, this messy, unfinished, imperfect moment, is enough. The mindset you carry into your success is the same mindset you carry through your struggle. If you can't find peace in the climb, you won't find it at the summit. Stop waiting for the horizon to move. Stop treating your life like a dress rehearsal for a play that never opens. The when you are looking for is already here. It's in the breath you just took. It's in the light hit the wall. It's in the life you are currently ignoring while you wait for something better. Change the way you look at the clock, and the clock will stop being your master. Life is a garden that is never finished, so you might as well start enjoying the dirt. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it today.